Welcome to the Tangent Gentleman, where each week Scott and I start with a topic from the previous episode, and then we see where the conversation takes us. Along the way, there will be an idea, question, or disagreement that sparks a tangent, and that tangent will become next week's discussion. And tonight's topic, Scott, is folklore.
Yes. How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing
Having
good.
a good week?
Yeah, I had a good week. I've been busy. I went and visited family and friends. As you know, we met up for lunch in Louisville, and I'm back home now and busy working with my daughter the past few days. So
yeah, it's good.
Playing catch up.
Keeping you busy. That's good. That's a good thing.
All right. So, man, who knows where like usual, where this is going to go. So I'm going to let you, I'm going to let you kick us off. Kick us off with folklore.
All right. So, I started into this when I was trying to figure out which way to go. What kind of came up naturally is I was having a conversation with my youngest son about something, and I said, that's what my mom used to say all the time. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, if your left hand itches, that means you're going to get money that day." And
if you're left-handed, you're going to get money.
If your left hand itches,
okay,
you're going to get money. You ever heard that?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard if your palm itches or something.
Yeah. So he's like, "What is that? That's silly." I was like, "Oh, he never knew my mom." I said, "Your grandma was full of like all kinds of things." So I kind of went down this path of like, what are some good Southern, superstitions for folklore? And then, so I looked into that. So I got some thoughts on that. But then I also started looking like, what's the oldest, what would you say is the oldest sort of across human civilization, the oldest folk tale? What would you think is probably the oldest folk tale? Because I came up with two that I was. I
think it would have to be a classic like dragons or vampires, something like that. Fairies.
No.
The oldest. I don't know. What is it?
So the two I came back to, or I kept coming up to, were basically a flood myth. There was a flood that was devastating, and then out of that flood, that is where life came, life as we know it. And then the other one was, and this is the other one. This is the one I could find that was a little more specific to a culture. Aboriginal Australians, so I guess probably like Maori or probably, or maybe I don't know if they're Australian. But anyway, Aboriginal Australians have a folk tale that's like 20,000 years old about a volcano creating Australia.
Okay.
So those are the oldest folk, sort of both kind of that world creation folk tale kind of thing. So those are the two oldest.
So is there a distinction between mythology and folklore?
No, actually. So I researched a little bit. What is the definition of what is considered folklore?
Because I didn't go back to old myths. I was thinking. I guess it would be. It's storytelling, but I think mythology, I guess, is a little more. I don't know what the word would be. Divine, maybe.
Yeah. So what I happened upon that sort of the definition or the study of folklore, and I'm not going to remember them all, and I didn't write it down, but it's basically like things of that nature, of origin type things, cultural traditions, what we do, which was sort of like cooking and sewing, and then the other one was kind of the things that we celebrate. Those were the categories of folklore. So
okay,
but
so we kind of took a little different directions here, because I was thinking the way I started for this one was I was trying to think what are stories, what's folklore where I grew up, and the first thing I thought about was the Poplik goat man
monster.
Or monster.
Poplik monster. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I thought about that. And
have you ever been out there? Did you ever go out there as a teenager? Did you walk the trestles?
No, I haven't. No. But
okay, so why don't you give a little backstory for folks that don't know what that's about?
Okay, so I guess that's Poplik Road there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big creek that I think is also called Poplik. that the trestle goes over, and it's high. I mean, what would you guess on the height?
Over 100?
Yeah, of the train trestle,
maybe.
And there's no walkway on the train trestle. It's just tracks.
Yeah.
And it's a place that, you always heard that people go out, and it sounds like that you may have. I don't know.
I have, but I never ran across it.
Okay, so people would go out, and the dare was to cross this large expanse of train tracks that has no walkway and goes from one side of this big ravine to the other, which is probably... I'm terrible with distances like that, but is it a quarter mile or eighth of a mile?
Yeah, at most. Probably an eighth, probably close to eighth.
Several hundred yards at least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
And there's been deaths there.
Yeah.
So and so the story is that there's a half man, half goat that lives under that trestle. And I don't know, I've heard different things. Like, I don't know if it's he hypnotizes you, or he does something to lure people on the tracks, and then freezes you when a train comes and makes you either freeze and get hit by the train, or be so scared that you just jump.
Yeah.
Is that what you heard?
That's all I heard. Yeah. It was, you don't want to go. And I've been out there before, like I said, but I've never... Actually, the people I was with, they talk a good game until we got there. This was late teens, era. And we got there, and never was I part of a group where anybody crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was too... It was too...
So you didn't see the goat man?
I never saw the goat man. Yeah. I did not. There's a movie. They made a movie about the Pope Lick monster.
Really?
Indie. Yeah, I saw it way back in the day at the Vogue Theater. And it was, it was
like a short film, or what?
Yeah.
Was it a goat man, or what was the monster?
Yeah. Well, you never really saw him, in the movie. I mean, it was kind of kind of that sort of Blair Witch. It wasn't his Blair Witch project. It wasn't like that, but it was just kind of that idea that exactly what you said. There was a...
So anyway, that got me thinking about, the origin of like obviously I'd think if the origin of that, if there was a purpose, would be to keep people off the train tracks, because it's a dangerous place, and so then I started thinking about, I think there's probably a lot of folklore that's trying to change people's behaviors or keep people out of dangerous places or anything like that. So I kind of went down that track, and at the same time I tried to think of other local folklore that I heard growing up, and then I started thinking about the Waverly Hills Sanitarium. There's a lot of stories around that. Are you familiar with Waverly Hills?
I'm familiar, but it's more of a south end part of it. I was never out there. Yeah.
So it's a huge building that's been closed. I don't know when it closed, but it was a tuberculosis hospital, and I think early 1900s. I think Louisville was the number one place for deaths per capita by tuberculosis.
Wow.
Yeah, it's if not number one, it was one of the highest. But we used to sneak in there all the time and run around. But they do ghost tours there, and so that got me thinking about what would be the origin of that. And I said, I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think, obviously thousands of people died at Waverly Hills,
Right.
And there is a death tunnel or death chute or body chute, whatever they call it. Because I've been in that. I've walked it, when we'd go up there, and it goes from the hospital down to the train tracks below, which is down a big hill. And so I know that's there. So there's a lot of stories around the, ghost in the death tunnels. And actually, Chris's brothers or sister-in-law used to do tours, I think, there, ghost tours there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so she's probably got the whole history. But there's a story about some medical workers there that committed suicide, and I think there was either a children's wing or a children's floor, and one of the ghosts is a little boy that kicks a ball down the hallway, and all kinds of different ghost stories around that. So then I was thinking, okay, would the origin of that just to be to respect an area with a past like that, or Do you think there could just be a lot of that type of energy in a place with that many deaths?
Yeah, I don't know. I know you and I are different on this one. I'm not really on the energy front on that. I think it might be that, I don't know the time frame of when whatever the cautionary tale about don't go to Waverly Hills or Waverly Sanatorium came up relative to when people were sick there. But I mean, my understanding of tuberculosis is it's very contagious. So obviously you don't want to be going over there, for risk of your own health. So maybe that's a start. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure where that one comes from. But no, I don't buy I don't know. I'm just not into that. I don't see it like that.
Maybe what about a psychological piece from knowing you're in a place where so many people died?
I mean, I guess the psychological of a bunch of hooligan teenagers is kind of disrespectful. A lot of people died there. So,
yeah. But I thought about that, so is it an area that, are those stories about respecting a certain space? It kind of took me to like all the, Irish fairy stories and things. Right. They're usually low, around burial mounds or just ancient areas that people should, or just nature that should be respected. But
yeah.
So that's kind of the route I took. That was my thinking.
I did come across a lot of Irish, like folk tales and folklore that was exactly like you said. It was related a lot to fairies and, people, spirits, if you will, that look after the dead or honor the dead or protect the dead. One thing I did see that I thought was interesting, and I kind of, once I started thinking about things my mom used to tell me, sort of old wives' tales, like what are some more common ones that are not unique to my family? And some of them were about, two of them I thought were particularly interesting were about, I've never seen either one of these, that you should paint the porch of your roof. If you have a patio, if you have a porch, you should paint the roof of the porch sky blue.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard this?
Yeah. Haint? Is that what
Haint. Yeah.
Haint blue.
Which is haunt. Yeah.
Haunt. Is that how you say it? Haunt?
Well, no, it's haint. You're correct, okay. But it derives from the Gullah word for haunt.
That's like an Appalachian thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
I've never heard that.
You still hear now. We were just in Key West not too long ago. First time I ever been to Key West. And they were showing some of the, historic houses and things there. And all the porches, the ceiling was painted blue. Well, their story was that wasp and hornets won't make nests on a blue ceiling because they think it's the sky.
Well, that's the rationale for the haint.
Okay.
That if the spirits are flying over your porch, they won't stop because they think it's just the sky. Okay. So they fly.
Well, that's become wasp and hornets now, from spirits to wasp and hornets.
So, which does get to your idea about the Waverly and why, and the holes, and also the Pope Lick. Like, are folklores really just good advice?
I think so.
Nice
a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think that's one piece of it. It's like, I mean, gosh, how many people think all kidnappers drive big vans? I mean, we've all been told that. It's just like that strangers are dangerous things. So don't
suddenly
get
you can't offer candy to anybody. You're a bad guy.
Speaking of candy, what about this? I'm sure you probably got. Did you ever have your parents go through your Halloween candy for straight pins and razor blades?
Oh yeah, straight blades. Yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure that happens. So there's
a lot of stranger danger things.
Yeah.
And, then that got me thinking about urban legends, and some of those are just funny. And I think social media's fed a lot of those. But sometimes people believe. I've been around people that really believe some of these urban legends have happened to somebody they know. You ever had that? Like,
sure. I know somebody.
Yeah. And here's a big one that always cracks me up.
This guy I used to work with his cousin. Yeah, it happened. Yeah.
They went on vacation and they got back and they went and developed film from their camera, and somebody broke in their house and scratched their butthole with their toothbrush. And they've been using their toothbrush for a week. You ever heard that one?
No, I have not heard that one.
I've heard that one.
Wow. No, I have not heard that one. Interesting.
Yeah, so some of the urban legend ones are funny.
Yeah. Well, so I happened into this rabbit hole of, there's actually a podcast a guy does on like a pretty short podcast, like under 20 minutes, of like exactly this, like old common folklore and fascinating tales. And one of them was about the idea that, remember when Bubblicious and Bubble Yum, Bubble Gum came out?
Mm-hmm. Spider eggs.
Spider eggs, yes, exactly. How, everybody thought they had spider eggs. They must have had spider eggs in them. That's why they were so chewy, And
then they kind of had something that popped, when you...
Yeah. And then in the same one, he talked about Pop Rocks. Do you remember this story? I'd heard
if
this
you drink Coke with them, is that what you're talking about? Your stomach will explode or something like that? Yeah.
And I never heard this version of it, but the kid, Mikey, remember Mikey from Life Cereal?
Yeah.
That the folklore was he died because he did that. He drank Pop Rocks. He ate Pop Rocks and drank Coke.
Poor
or
Mikey.
Soft drink with them. But apparently it wasn't true. Shocking. And Pop Rocks reached out to him to like do an ad campaign, and he wouldn't do it, like to prove that it wasn't true, but it didn't happen. They didn't do it. So, but yeah, so imagine like, I guess that's like, in our archaic world, that's how the internet, there was no internet obviously, but that's how the social media worked. Everybody knew somebody who spider eggs and Bubblicious or Bubble Yum and Pop Rocks made your stomach explode, So I don't know. Well, we normally ask about what we're drinking. There's a little folklore associated with my cocktail of choice this evening. So I'm having a Manhattan.
Okay.
In honor of our recent visit in the good Manhattan. So the Manhattan, allegedly, the folklore is, it was created for Winston Churchill's mother.
Okay. She
was a New York socialite, and she was in Manhattan. And the bartender wanted to make a drink for her, special for the occasion, and he created his was rye whiskey with vermouth.
Okay.
And mine's bourbon and vermouth, but allegedly that's where it came from. Her last name was Joseph, I think.
Do you think it's true?
I've read it several places, which makes me think it might be true.
So did you add Benedictine to your Manhattan?
I did not. I haven't gotten any Benedictine. I've been preoccupied with it.
So let me tell you this. I'm not going to say the name of the place since y'all gave me so much hell talking about Burger King being dirty. But the place we met for lunch...
It was poorly systemed. That's what it was.
So the place we met for lunch, I gave them my credit card to pay my tab, and they turned a little screen...
Our tab, thank you. Thank you, by
You're welcome. And they turned around the little screen for me to tip. And I put on my tip, and when I get out to the car, I get the notification from my bank. They always, the first thing that goes through is your amount you pay for food and everything. And it's 25% less than what it said my total was there. So they had already tagged on 25% and then just turned around. I knew nothing about they put the 25% tip on there, and I go on and tip another 25% on top of the total with their 25%. So I ended up tipping like 55%, which, I don't mind giving somebody a big tip, but at least I'd like to know.
Yeah.
that they should be required to tell you if they add a tip to your bill.
I would think. So this reminds me of a thing. In that case, I think we would agree we had really good service, made really good cocktails, all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend who was at a place, and it was a situation where there was a large gathering of family members. And my friend's pretty generous, and he said, let me go ahead and get this. And so it was like 12 people. So he picked up the tab, and he didn't have his glasses on, and he signed the total on the tip line.
Oh,
And so
for 12 people.
For 12 people.
Oh my goodness.
So he tipped like $350.
Oh, wow.
And he said, he's like you. He's like, I wouldn't mind, helping people out. He's doing well, whatever. He said, but the service was awful.
Oh, no.
He said every aspect of it, like nobody's food was right. Drinks were spilled. No cups got refilled. He said it was just awful all the way around. And I tipped this guy 110%.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
crazy.
don't know. I don't know how that fits into our narrative, but as far as our topic for the evening, but
so
I don't know.
So, I was thinking about, you were talking about fairies, and when you think about, I don't know, I always think about Ireland when I hear about fairies.
Mm-hmm.
And Ireland, I've never been to Ireland, but it's very lush, very green, right?
Yes, it is. Yes. Very nice.
So I got to thinking, I've hunted my entire life, so I've been in the woods a lot, and I lived in the woods up on Top Hill Road for a long time. And you can see crazy things in the woods in low light, and especially if there's like fog or something. So I was thinking, like if you see fireflies or anything like that flying through the woods in low light, I was thinking, I wonder how much of that comes from that, or just movement, or even like chipmunks crawling, going on the ground or something.
I think that's a contributor. Plus, I also have to say, the time I was in Ireland for about 7 or 8 days a while ago, and had some great beer and whiskey. And I think after a few beers and or whiskey, if you go out and it's foggy, you might see some things. I'm just saying, there might be a thing or two.
Yeah.
So, that might be contributors to it. Fog and bourbon, or not bourbon, but whiskey. So,
and you kind of can see what you want to see. If I'm out, if I'm out in the woods and I'm deer hunting, and you always get out in the woods well before sunrise, but you can't shoot until a half hour before sunrise. That's what they call first light. But you see, like you're looking for deer, and you see so many deer before the sun comes up.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
Yeah,
everything looks like a deer. Anything that moves looks like a deer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's that phrase? When all you got's a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yes. Speaking of that, how about Bigfoot?
What about it? Nice story.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I think this is where we have a fundamental, you say in the intro, disagreement.
No, I don't
disagreement sounds kind of harsh.
You don't think I believe in Bigfoot, do you?
I don't know.
You wouldn't be surprised, right? That's what it is. You wouldn't be surprised.
I would be a little surprised if you did. But I think it gets to your point of, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you weren't interrupting. I was just going to say, I don't disbelieve in almost anything that I don't know for sure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I probably am a lot more open. But I don't think there's Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot is almost always a bear. Have you ever seen a skinned bear? It looks looks just like a little fat man.
Yeah.
So if you're in the woods in low light and a bear stands up out there to see what they're hearing over there, it could look like a human to some people.
So to your point about what you're not willing to dismiss,
mm-hmm.
I think I'm just on the other side of what I'm willing to accept.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not willing to accept it unless you can present me with a pretty substantial, plausible explanation. Whereas you're willing to accept it if there's not a plausible sort of, I don't know what the opposite of that would be, but you need it to be pretty categorically dismissed.
Yeah.
I need it to be categorically proven.
I think it's because you're a scientist.
Or a skeptic or something. Yeah, skeptic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think more often than not, there's a logical explanation to your point about Bigfoot's a bear. You know? So, I mean, we had an interesting experience with the bears. So we did it, 10, 11 years ago now. We did a drive across the country family trip. And we got to California. We were staying at Yosemite. And they gave us, these reticence. We had to go to all this meetings about your food and bears and how do you get away from bears and where do you keep your food and don't put it in your car, put it in these bear boxes, put it up in this tree, put it, all this stuff. Okay, fine. We did all that stuff. Coming back, we went through South Dakota and we were staying in Yellowstone and we went and we go, okay, what about the bears? Oh, we're not worried about that. I said, what do you mean? I'm like, we heard in California, bears break into your car and you got to get rid of the food. You got to put in a bear box. Yeah, our bears aren't that smart. And I just thought that was really interesting because I think there's some truth to that. I think there is some truth to generations of bears having the opportunity to break into food storage in California are different than the bears in South Dakota.
Or it could just be population density. Bears in California are more used to being around people, so they're not as scared.
That's true.
In South Dakota, they probably avoid people more because there's not nearly as many people around.
So you think that's true even at national parks where there's like a concentration of people? I mean, Yosemite is crazy crowded. I mean, to a point of where it's not even enjoyable. You kind of feel like you're sitting in, I wouldn't say Manhattan, but definitely like downtown Louisville as far as traffic. Whereas you're right. I mean, you live in North Dakota. I mean, sometimes in South Dakota, it freaked the city boy in me out. Like I've been driving for a long time and I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah.
And that kind of freaks me out a little bit. So
yeah, you can drive in South Dakota for 200 miles without any services of any kind at a lot of places.
Yeah. And that's it's not a comfort level this city boy does well with,
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful country, beautiful part of the country, but it definitely, you got to readjust whereas you're fine with that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can, I kind of like being by myself. I like my own company.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I love being in the woods. I've never been scared of the woods, but I've also, I was dropped off in the woods at about 9 years old by myself at, 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Go over there and, we'll meet you back here at lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had, I suspect it's probably the same woods, but when I retired, for a while, I was going out to Jefferson Forest and just hiking around. And there was one time I was out there and I got lost. And I was by myself and I didn't have anything. I had my phone, I didn't have anything. I was like, all right, just going to keep walking. I'm going to get to something I recognize.
Yes,
and it was a little disheartening. I mean, for me, it was tough because I don't have a good sense of reckoning, and it was tough. But it was interesting. It was one of those things I really was proud of that I got out of and managed to figure it out. That probably seems trivial to you, but
Well, you don't know how many times living up in Jefferson Memorial Forest that somebody just pops up in our front yard. Up there on Top Hill Road, just got off the trail and didn't know how to get back, so they just started walking on the road. And I would walk them out the ridge behind our house to the trail and show them how to get back to the Welcome Center.
Yeah. Oh, that could have been me. But,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, probably 20 times while we lived there, I'd say. Because there's a logging road that comes out the Top Hill Road that comes right off of the main trail, the Siltstone Trail, one of the main ones there. Well, they would get turned around on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all over the map tonight. So where are we at on the
on folklore?
Folklore, yeah.
So I started putting them in categories. So I don't know, behavior control is probably too strong, but something to keep kids or others out of dangerous situations, some type of behavior story.
I felt like that was when I thought about the things that my mom believed and used to tell me, the old wives' tales. I thought most of them were in that category.
Yeah.
Not your hand itching one, but don't walk under a ladder, if you break a mirror, it's this. Or I'm like, well, no, it's broken glass. That's what it is,
Yeah. So then I started thinking about the monster stories and, vampires, werewolves, dragons. And I feel like dragons, probably at one time, somebody found a big dinosaur skull or something. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. No, or some similar foreign creature.
Yeah.
If you lived in the, near the equator, you probably came across a really big lizard, which you would think might be a dragon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that got its way up to Northern Europe, but that kind of theory, I don't know where those folks came up with dragons.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there are many of those, whatever.
What about dinosaur bones?
No, that would definitely work. You would definitely think about that. If you came across those big bones, I just don't know. It's curious, what, we automatically connect dinosaur bones to oh, this is a T-Rex, this is a skeleton. But if you just found a random femur, maybe a skull, you could work your way back to. But if you just found some vertebrae, would you know this is part of a, 75-foot tall creature? To me, it's just a thing. I don't know what that, I don't know that I could.
What's the big rhinoceros-looking one?
Triceratops.
Yeah, Triceratops. If you found a Triceratops skull, you might think that sucker breathed fire.
Yeah, right. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even a big, I don't know, what would be a big mammal that you could find in Northern Europe? It may not be a dinosaur per se, but a big mammal, a Siberian tiger. If you found a Siberian tiger skull, would you project that out to be a dinosaur? I don't know.
But then,
why would you create? So, would you create a story to your? Is that a safety story though? That doesn't seem like necessarily a safety story.
Yeah.
It's more of just an explanation. Because that was one thing.
And then, China, they have a little different. I guess it's Chinese. I'm thinking the Chinese New Year things they bounce around on, but their dragons are kind of mystical, divine sort of things that, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a fire breather that kills everybody, I don't think.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know enough about Asian lore to say if that's true. I don't. But I do think there was I don't know if religious is the right word, but I think a lot of folklore had that origin story.
Yeah.
We needed this fit into the category of, like I said, one of the oldest stories I found was the flood story.
Yeah.
Which, but a lot of religions have a flood story.
Yeah.
A flood creation story.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty old folklore, which to me that says there probably was a pretty massive flood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
In where most of civilization was, which if we believe, it seems like civilization started somewhere in the Middle East, Tigris and Euphrates, that area. So if there was a massive flood, then,
So you don't think it started in the Omega star structure?
No, I don't. I do not. Maybe Northern Africa.
So do you think if you go back far enough, do you think there's some truth into most folklore that's been around for a long time?
Yeah, I'd say a kernel of truth. Yeah. A kernel of truth, just like you just said, a dinosaur skull becomes a dragon. And I don't think there was a fire-breathing creature, but there was a thing that made me think this might be a fire breather.
And there's probably been at least one kid kidnapped by somebody in a van.
Probably. Yeah. Probably at least one.
Now, I don't know if anybody has had the toothbrush. That just sounds like a good story.
I don't know that anyone ever had razors and apples.
No.
That's one I don't think ever really happened.
So we had this. This is something that's bothered me as an adult. We had this little old lady that lived on Rosebank Court up at the end when we were little kids. I don't know how old she'd be, but she made popcorn balls for everybody that came by there on Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, now I'm thinking that she spent so much time, put so much love into these popcorn balls.
Right.
And we could never eat them because they might have straight pin in them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not. It's funny because I came across, so you know how the algorithms work. When I was looking at pop culture myths or whatever, I came across like 25 food items that were popular in the 70s that you may remember. And one of them was popcorn balls.
Yeah.
And it said exactly that they were a common fall. They didn't specifically say Halloween, but a common fall like thing you would make like at school functions or church picnics or whatever. But then they fell out of favor because of the allegations of safety.
That poor lady's intentions were so, man, I still feel bad about that. That happened 50 years ago.
You ruined this poor woman's Halloween.
If I wasn't scared to death of eating a razor blade, I probably just snuck and ate it before I got home.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember that was a ritual. You had to come home, you had to dump all your candy out. My parents would go through. Okay, this might have been opened. Yeah. Like, that wasn't opened.
Yeah.
Just a little rip. It wasn't open.
That's my favorite candy. But then, I thought about that with the dragon one, and then maybe werewolves might be kind of like all the Appalachian folklore, just don't go in the woods at night, don't get lost type of thing. I don't know. Well, but what about vampires?
Yeah, I don't know on that one. Other than like the, sort of the extreme version of vampires. I don't know if this is actually I read Dracula a long time ago, but like sort of the persuasive, like sexual Lothario predator kind of guy, not necessarily like a pervert, but just like a, overly charming, kind of guy. So you were warning young girls, be careful of people like that. I don't know.
If you get rabies, does it make you want to bite people?
I have no idea. Do you know this song? Do you know this singer, Tyler Childers? She's from Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, have you heard his most recent album? He's got a song on there, a biting list.
People that wants to bite. Yeah. No,
he's like, if I ever get rabies, you're high on my biting list.
See, I think so. The reason I asked that, I think it is a symptom of rabies. I might be crazy. Maybe Chris is looking that up right now and he can tell us later. But I think so. Okay. I wanted to ask you what you thought about vampires before I told you what I found, because that's the only one I could think. Where in the world could be the origin of vampires? So I kind of looked it up, and they kind of think it was just people not understanding disease and like rabies and tuberculosis and these diseases that made you extremely anemic and white and thin and die slowly.
Okay.
And they think maybe it kind of originated from that. And one of them, and when they mentioned rabies specifically in there, and then later on down the line, it said not understanding why people would be biting. So I thought, does rabies make you bite?
I don't know. But according to Tyler Childers, it does.
Yeah.
Or if he ever gets it,
The only thing I know
it's
about
a great song. You should check that song out. It is a funny song. I'm really cracking up thinking about it.
The only thing I know about rabies is, I don't know if you still do, but didn't you used to have to get like some shots straight into your abdomen?
Yeah, it was multiple shots. Yeah, for the rabies treatment. So.
Yeah.
See, I also heard that it was, and this is more about gypsies. It was kind of a prejudice thing. like vampires were from a certain part of Europe, and so this was a kind of a bigotry against Romanians and people that were not Eastern European, but that, I guess, what would that be, Baltic type, Romanians, Serbians.
So am I just really stereotyping here, or did gypsies are really into folklore and magic and mystical beliefs and things like that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably true. Which, it's interesting, right? Because I don't know. It's sort of like religion. Like people form. That was one of the things I found about folklore, is that a lot of folklore has religious parallels or religious attachments or affiliate, or it's part of how we share our religious culture. Is through the folklore that we share with our children, our community. Yeah. So it's sort of the spirit, what we believe. Yeah. And so I think that's where, again, part of the bigotry against gypsies and people that were, I keep thinking of Romania, but I don't know if I think that's too broad or too specific of a categorization, but I think that was part of that. Like, it was a derogatory way to classify people. And I mean, the same thing happened, with the Irish in this country, to your point about the fairies and the mysticism. That was one of the criticisms of the Irish, in parts of a more English America, and communities in America were very anti-Irish because they were, kind of into this sort of mystic type perceptions and stuff. So
do you think you have any personal characteristics that are tied to the time in the year and the astrological sign you were born under?
No. Only in so much as, I was born in November. So when I was 6 months old, it was April. And I probably, formed some sensitivities about weather because I lived where I lived in that time of year. But no, I don't think what planet was lined up with what planet when I was born. I think that is total just nonsense and coincidence looking for an explanation.
Do you think the full moon influences how humans behave?
Yeah, more than I used to think it did, but I can't. After 30 years in public,
if you work in a school, you've got to believe that. Yeah,
yeah.
And I always think about that. I mean, it influences so many other natural things on Earth. Right. Why wouldn't it influence us?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you believe that, why wouldn't you believe there can't be some effect of planet alignment?
They're too far away.
Well, maybe. I don't know. We don't know everything.
I'm not saying we know everything.
You don't know how far a planet has to be to impact you.
I know the equation for the universal law of gravitation, and I can argue
we don't even understand how gravity really works, though.
Well, I know, but we understand the force of gravity and what it does and how it works. We may not understand everything about gravity, but I can explain why the moon causes tidal effects on Earth, and then subsequently you could say the other things associated with people on Earth.
But you don't know where the line is that gravity quits impacting things.
You're right, I don't.
Okay.
You're right, I don't. Here we go. This is it. It's a fundamental distinction. But I like it. I like that we have it. It's good. I mean, it's good to recognize it.
There might be some things we don't, we can't perceive that are impacting us.
So you think werewolves are moon gravity tidal base? You think that
oh no, I don't think there's werewolves. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm saying the fact that werewolves
did it come from that
with the full moon, and we both kind of agree that there are effects.
I do. I didn't make that connection today when I was thinking about all this in the past few days, but that could easily be it. I mean, people could have seen how their kids were acting crazy when it's full moon. I think I got a little werewolf here.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at one of my jobs in graduate school was I worked where I did a lot of lab analysis for the hospitals, for the ERs. And it was crazy. I mean, it was crazy the volume of work we would get around a full moon.
Yeah.
Which was proportional to the people that were in the ER. I mean, it was really, at first I thought it was nonsense, but after seeing that for about a year and a half, you're like, you can't deny that.
No.
I mean, I don't know that it's causative, but it sure is definitely there. So, yeah. I don't know.
Could it maybe be, though, that just people can see better at night, so they're out staying up later and then they're tired the next day? Who knows?
Could be. It could be.
Are you ready to get Chris in here with us? Or you got anything else to share with folklore?
No, I think I covered it all.
All right. Well, we'll have Chris join us here shortly. This has been a fun conversation, though. It's really fun to think about where it could have come from. You know, it's because you can kind of see, you can, if you really think about it, you can see, I bet this originated this way. We might not be right, but what was that?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to admit, Chris, this time. I wonder if our guest could hear that. That thing. All right, let me admit Chris.
I don't know.
Waiting.
One thing I really liked about my research on it is just how universal it is. Every culture has folklore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're very similar.
Yeah.
And no matter what region you're in, you know, a lot of similarities. So, you know.
Which does, in these times, it's helpful for me to remember we're more alike than we are different. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we got to be reminded about that all the time. Some of us more than others.
I got to tell you, one of my favorite things about this listening to you guys talk is the contrast between, they're so different. Like, you know, Scott is very scientific, and I'll never forget walking into Brad's house, and Cindy and Brad were watching Ancient Aliens, and I'm back behind the couch laughing, and they're looking at me like they're mad, and I'm like, what? And he goes, it's real, man. I'm like, this isn't real.
Like, I didn't say it was real. You just, I mean,
you're saying you don't know that it's not.
That it's not real. Right. Yeah. But I do.
Okay.
Scott and I have had the conversation about advanced civilizations in the past. I mean, everything that is has always been and will always be and will be again. Something like that.
Something like that. That's hard to argue. But yeah. You know, I don't think you could argue that when you, like, I'm sitting here listening to you guys. Folklore had to be the original social media. Is that not all social media is, and for a lot of people now? It's just it's conjuring stories and passing things that you want to tell people so you believe what they believe, and it's kind of just happens a lot faster. Also, the
is that all your notes from tonight? Golly, I'm looking at your paper in front of you, man.
Oh, can you see it? Yeah. Oh, I got notes. This was a lot. This was a lot. And I also had some technical difficulties. You guys were busting up, and I had to reload, but a lot was going on tonight. I got a lot of topics, but I did catch biting lists, and you got to listen to that as soon as we get off here tonight. It has nothing to do with making you want to bite people. But Brad, I did look that up for you, and I want to let you know that the virus travels through the brain and triggers extreme aggression and loss of fear. Because the virus is spread through saliva, biting is an evolutionary goal. So it doesn't make you want to bite people, but you do kind of lose your mind and become very aggressive, and animals bite. So you're kind of right, you're kind of wrong.
What was that last sentence again, though? It might mean
biting
if you
is
get rabies,
the evolutionary goal of rabies. So yeah, like you end up a little crazy.
So if a human gets rabies, they want to bite somebody.
They get aggressive.
That's what I'm hearing.
There are some interesting.
That's what I'm hearing, Scott.
Podcasts.
What are you hearing?
Yeah, sure.
You know, that being
if you get rabies, let me know. I'm staying away. That's what
I have documented on these here notes that my biggest laugh is when Brad said, you know, all kidnappers drive vans. And I wanted to add, if you see a van with no windows, guarantee you there's at least 3 kids in that van with no windows. Who has no windows? Come on. So I'm right with him. And also, Brad, the funny thing, you talked about the lady at the end of Rosebank Court.
Yeah. Did you ever get one of her popcorn balls?
No, I never went trick-or-treating there, but that, you know, Rosebank Court was a straight road, it dead-ended, and her house was literally on a hill, like in a movie. Yeah. And it was bigger and nicer and older than the other houses. And I was convinced that house was haunted, and she was like a mean woman. So I'm glad to hear that she had a nice side to her tonight. Listening to you talk about her popcorn balls. And the crazy
He was
thing
never allowed to eat.
Think about this. As a kid, I remember seeing on the news when parents could take their kids' candy to the ER and they would run it through the X-ray machine. Make sure
That's healthy.
nothing was in it. I mean, it's so crazy. But here's a question. I want before we grade our folklore, let me ask you this. What effect is AI going to have on folklore? Is it dead or is it enhanced? Because I'm to the point now where I don't believe anything.
Oh, I think there's going to be there's going to be some AI folklore about AI.
Right. So it's like, yeah, but you're not going to know whether it's true for a different reason.
I mean,
it's
just
so easy
like,
to fake.
You know, I can't think of the name of the Arnold movie now. What's the name of the Arnold movie with AI?
Terminator?
Yeah, just like Terminator.
Yeah.
I mean, you already got it coming up in the movies. What's going to happen with AI? Was that AI? Yeah. I guess it was. Was that?
It was. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They take over. The machines take over for a while. But I don't know. AI makes it so hard. It is kind of right up the alley of, is this true or is this not true? And I kind of just go err on the side of like probably not true, probably not real, because things look so real now. So I don't know if folklore, will it be a harder thing to pass on because of AI? Anything can be faked.
Well, I just got one thing to say, Chris. Don't not believe just because you can't see. All right.
Yeah, I did like that.
It might be true.
Because, Scott couldn't go. Gravity. He can say about the moon. Who can't talk about the moon's gravity? Everybody can.
Who can say whether
spent a week on the beach?
Who can say whether Saturn's impacting us somehow?
Technically it is. Physics says it is.
There you go.
To what extent, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. So,
I can tell you,
probably wherever it was when you were born, probably impact how you were developed in the womb.
Sure. I'm sure it did.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So my ACT score is because of Saturn. Good or bad,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, let's go.
I should have I wish I'd have known that when I applied to college many years ago. But, I would have done better if Saturn wasn't in the way. Yeah.
Well, do you want to grade folklore?
I know you're not making fun of me,
before we get into the topics.
I'm not making fun of you.
I know it. I know you're not.
No, not at all.
I know
it. He knows it.
What's our grade? So what are we grading?
So, I think
the value of folklore.
Yeah, the value and impact of folklore.
I think folklore does what it's supposed to do for the most part. So I'm gonna say a B plus. I feel like I give that grade too much. Has it been my grade a lot?
Lately, but we've been on some good things. I mean, lately we were early on. We were pretty negative.
Tough.
Is there a worse grade than B plus?
It's tough to get an A for me.
It's not a worse grade than B plus. Just give me a B. Thank you, sir. I don't want your B plus. That doesn't mean no good. That's just a smack in the face.
I'm going to give it a 90%.
There you go.
Yeah, you go either way.
I like B plus because I back to your comment last week about sort of the culture and the camaraderie around bourbon. I think there's a real positive about folklore that really enriches the fabric, and that's where one of the things that makes me, I don't know, apprehensive, if you will, about AI is it going to, or is it not just AI, but social media to a certain extent, is it denigrating this sort of fabric that we share? That's, I don't know. That's just something that's why more and more I feel like if we can, if we can just get together and talk to one another, we're better off.
When you were talking about that, I was just thinking, so do young people still sit around campfires at night during the summer? Just tell stories? Talk to each other? I don't know. I haven't been.
I hope so.
My youngest does. My youngest goes camping a little. Evan gets together with a group of people probably once. My oldest gets together with a group of people. I don't know about campfires, but it seems like they get together and just, BS like we used to do.
We didn't talk about the hook man, Chris.
We did not.
I will say that was told around a campfire. And one of the things I love about folklore is that as a kid, you're receiving the folklore. You're mostly getting the stories told to you, and it's, it has its effect. And then, on as an adult, you're kind of the one. And think how many stuff you kind of twisted or made up for your kids. That's kind of like a folklore thing to get them to not do what you want to do, or tell them why they need to go to sleep, or why they can't turn the light on in the car.
So let me ask you this: Were you dating the guy who told you the Hookman story's daughter?
No, I got to give 100% credit to that to Rob Kircher. He has no kids, but the cool thing about Rob is he let me borrow his convertible Mustang on for prom, and he said, if the top's down, look out for the Hookman when we were rolling out in his convertible Mustang. So I couldn't believe he let me borrow it.
But part of the Hookman story, he's got to scratch the metal, man, with his hook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, no. The Hookman story ends when something happens and they got to leave, and they roll up the window. And when they get home, the hook is lodged in the window where it got caught as you rolled it up and then drove off and ripped his hook out. That's it. He told many versions, but that was the one I remembered. I do want to grade, I'll give folklore a B. So this was an A podcast. Folklore is entertaining as it gets. But my one thing that I don't like about folklore is, as a history teacher and a guy that consumes documentaries and history books, is there's so much folklore in how we learn about American history and history in general, from the Paul Revere ride, not accurate story that they tell, the wooden teeth from George Washington, and all these, so many stories you could bring up that really are half folklore and half truth, where I just want the truth.
The first Thanksgiving.
All this stuff. Yeah. You have these images in your brain. Did you research
just not true. Manhattan story? Is that true? Did you research that one?
I did not. I don't argue any. You can call it what you want, if you go to Milwaukee, they don't even use bourbon in an old fashioned, but I'll still drink one. So,
They don't? They make it out of beer?
No, they use
brandy, don't they?
Yeah, it's brandy. And it's go bourbon, man. We know. So watch the last episode, please.
When we went to Milwaukee, we stayed in a hotel that was an old brewery, and there was a little restaurant next door. And when you went over there and got your breakfast platter, it came with a beer. Those are the beer drinkingest people around.
One of my best friends, Matt Donahue, lived in Wisconsin for a decade. And those people are different. Actually, they consume more alcohol per capita than any other city in Milwaukee in the country.
I got a story about, I went up there and Matt set us up with some places to go. And we went to the Lakefront Brewery on this it's more like a river than a lake, if I remember it right. But there was a polka band playing at this brewery, and there must have been 600 people, of the drunkest people I've ever seen. Not just buzzing and having a good time. I'm talking falling down drunk and beer spilling out of their cups while they're doing their polka. It was the craziest thing I ever seen.
Yeah, we went there on a baseball trip, and they can handle their liquor, man. No doubt about it. But interesting. So I have 4 topics, and we could, of course, you guys provided plenty of opportunities tonight on a tangent.
We did.
Tangent, all capital letters underlined with exclamation points. So you guys want to go off the 4? You're welcome to. 1, Scott was bringing up Appalachia, and a couple other times you brought up some regional stuff. And it made me think about America. We're one big country, and how many different regions do we have? How many different names do we have for things? The dialects, the accents, the cost of living, and how different it is to live and visit different parts of just this country. Now, you can talk about other countries. We could do that. But I think just if you look from Appalachia, I went all the way to Quakers to West Coast. Interesting subject, because this country is very unique in its size and its population. So we can call it regionalism, or Appalachia as what kind of got it started for me. 2, ghosts and paranormal activity. And that one hit me because you guys talked about that a few times, but I actually have an experience where I was a part of some paranormal activity that I can tell you happened to me. And I'm more of a skeptic like my boy Scott, 100%. But this happened to me undeniably, and I don't have an explanation for it. How cool. I mean, paranormal activity.
Look at Scott's face. He's already laughing at you.
It'd be interesting. We could have some people on maybe that had that. One that really caught me, though, was tipping and how much it's changed in, say, the last 10, 12 years. What's expected now is so different. Also, the global contrast as to what you do in America compared to the rest of the world. It's interesting discussion. And is it sustainable? I mean, is it sustainable that you're tipping every time somebody flips that tablet around? There's a tip expected. Kroger wants me to donate. If I'm not tipping, they want me to donate 94 cents to round up to the next dollar, so Kroger can give this big check to some charity when I'm the one that gave them 94 cents. Like, just tipping in general, is it out of control? I'd love to talk about that and hear what you guys had to say. And then you guys talked about stereotyping. And I don't know if I want to go with like, we don't want to get into racial this, racial that, or anything like that. But there's still a lot in this in the subject of stereotyping that I think exists, and we go by and live by. And we like to say we don't stereotype different things, but man, it'd be an interesting discussion. So one more time, Appalachian representing regionalism in the United States. How you can go talk about Milwaukee. They speak differently than us. They drink more alcohol than us. It's way different. Ghost and paranormal activity, tipping and stereotyping. And then, of course, wild card, anything that you guys got tickled about or enjoyed during this especially this podcast, guys, because you definitely represented what the title of the show is.
So I don't know what made me think of this. We were talking about Bigfoot. So you guys both know where we lived. Like we ended up buying an acre right in the middle of Jefferson Memorial Forest. An elderly couple wouldn't sell to the forest. So, we had 8,000 acres of forest around us. And Chris lives in the same area down the street. And I used to watch those Bigfoot shows sometimes. And there'd always be a noise in the dark. And they'd be doing it back. And I did that all the time in the forest. When people would be hiking and stuff, and they'd go, caw, and I'd be at the house, and I'd just go, caw. That's all that's happening on those Bigfoot things. And somebody hears them making noise, and somebody does it back. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I just had
I guarantee it. I always think when you drop something random in the middle of nowhere, and they dig it up 500 years later, and they're like, "Why is this here?" Well, random drop, bro. Don't read into it too much.
Exactly.
What do you think? Exactly. What do you think, Scott? What'd you like in that list? I like the 4 choices, Chris. Good job, man.
Yeah, well done. Well done. I think I like the tipping and expectations of tipping, because I agree with Chris. I've always been a pretty generous tipper, I think. My wife was a server for many years, so she's impressed that upon me. But it's changed, and you brought up a good point that it really sparked something, Chris, about who's getting credit, who's.
That's not what giving's about, though.
I understand. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about who's actually. And I don't want to say it because I think it makes for a good story. If we do talk about this.
Let's save it because I can tell there's going to be some fundamental differences here.
But how cool of me to talk about the system. Like, so if I buy a $4 Coke instead of getting a water, I have to tip you an extra $1. Like, that's a silly system. That makes no sense. I like to drink water, so I'm hydrated for my bourbon at night. So I drink water when we go out. But unless we're having a bourbon. But it's an archaic system.
Why even got to think about it percentages? Yeah. All right. Well, this is gonna be good.
Tipping.
This is gonna be good.
Tipping and expectations. Yeah. All right. Very good.
Hey, should you think about having a guest that works for tips?
There you go. Let's not talk about it. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one.
All right. I like it.
Good job, Chris.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Thanks everybody for listening.
All right. Good seeing you guys.
Yep.
Great show, guys.